Hi guys, and welcome to this week's episode. This week I will be showing you how to make Blackberry Gin. Now for this week's episode I actually went out and foraged the blackberries myself. So I've got 2 punnets of blackberries. I just went out into the local woodland and basically took what I needed in order to make this week's recipe. The recipe itself is very straightforward. You don't always have to do it with gin. If gin isn't your preferred spirit, you can make it with vodka or anything that you would prefer. I find that gin works really well in terms of fruit absorption and gives the alcohol a really good flavour. So I'll be doing it with gin today. Like I say, I've got my blackberries and that will basically be it. So I hope you're all well, I hope you're all staying safe as always, and I'm looking forward to sharing the recipe with you. But I've got a little bit of footage to show you first of when I went out yesterday and foraged for the blackberries, so you can just sit back for 2 minutes and enjoy a little walk around the Norfolk countryside. I hope you enjoyed that. So the ingredients you're going to need to make your blackberry gin are as follows: gin, sugar and blackberries. It really is that simple. So the quantities I'll be using are, per 70 centilitres or 1 bottle of the gin that I have, I will be using 300 grams of ripe blackberries. I will be using 120 grams of granulated sugar, and then I'll be adding some of my botanicals from my ginology set, which has some extra juniper berries, hibiscus petals and orange zest in. You are obviously going to need several containers to store your gin in. Make sure they are sterilised before you use them. You can either do that by putting them in the oven at a low temperature or by washing them in really hot water. So the 3 jars on the left are the jars I'll be using to make the gin. Once it's been sat for, well, several months is ideal, I will then be using a muslin and I'll be bottling the gin up into bottles like that. So then I will use them to give as gifts and that just looks more presentable that way. So you just need to get your jars ready, get your ingredients ready, and like I say, it's a really straightforward recipe. Okay, so let's get started with the first batch. Now I have got 2 bottles of gin, so I am going to be able to do it twice, but let's get going with the first one. So first of all, I am going to weigh out my blackberries. Obviously, if you are a little bit over or a little bit under, that's okay. Don't worry too much. It is just a rough guide. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is put the blackberries into my jar. See wrong with it. I have had a quick rinse under the tap. Just be really careful with blackberries because you only have to touch them when they're ripe and they will just sort of explode all over you. So once you're happy you've got the weight done, you can go ahead and pop them in your sterilised jar. This might be a bit messy. I thought it might be. Okay, and I'm about halfway there and my hands are already really purple. And now for the sugar. I put a bit extra in, just to be sure. Okay, and that just goes straight in as well. Okay, there we are. So as it stands, that is what I've got. And then all you need to do is very simply, oh, sorry, is just add your bottle of gin. And there we have it. So all I'm going to do now is use my genealogy selection, and I'm just going to throw in a few juniper berries, and I'm going to put in some hibiscus flowers too. They just give it a bit of extra flavour. There's absolutely no necessity to do it. I just like the flavour it gives. And there we are. So all I'm going to do is put the top on, and every once in a while I will just come back and turn it over or give it a stir just until the sugar's dissolved. Once the sugar has completely dissolved, then I will just leave it. With this gin, sort of the longer the better if you can leave it. I make it now for gifting for people for Christmas. So I will leave it now until December, and then I will put it into smaller bottles to give as gifts for friends and family. So I'm going to do the other bottle and do the last little bit. Hopefully there might be enough blackberries left for me to make a crumble as well. So that'd be great, but I'll crack on with the other one now, just so you can see it once more. Well, that is it. It really is that straightforward to make your own blackberry gin. This week's video was short and sweet, and well, it's a simple recipe. There was no point in dragging it out. Just little reminders: give the gin as long as you can to brew. That's probably not the right word, but give it as long as you can. Minimum of 3 months. I just try and put it in a cool, dark place and forget about it as best I can. Like I say, until the sugar's dissolved, you can give it a stir or just gently tip the jars, maybe once a week, just until it really has all dissolved. Then just leave it and just let it do its thing. Once it's ready, then you can strain it through a muslin if you have one. If you don't have one, then a tea towel is fine, but be warned, it may stay purple. Blackberries are terrible for staining, and even when the tea towels have gone through the washing machine, I don't think they're ever perfect again. So just bear that in mind, don't go using your best tea towel. Also, don't forget to label your gin, because when you get going with things, you forget when you made them, or just make a little mark on the calendar. I make sloe gin later in the year as well, and this year I'm going to try elderberry gin for the first time. I've never made it before. And I imagine with all those purple jars alongside each other, it might be quite difficult to work out what's what. So always remember, label your jars and keep them somewhere cool and dark. But that's it from me this week. As always, you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I'll leave my links above for you. If you like the video, please give it a like, and you can always subscribe to my channel. As always, I am on the lookout for recipes you'd like me to do in the future. I'm always open to your ideas, so anything further, please leave it down below in the comments. I also want to do some more foraging videos. I'm very lucky to live in an area where we have a community orchard, and you can just go and have a walk, enjoy the peace and quiet, and do some foraging whilst I'm out. So looking forward to doing a few more of those videos. Like I say, leave it in the comments, let me know what you guys would like to watch, and I'll do my very, very best to oblige. So until the next episode, guys, have a lovely, lovely week, and I'll see you all next time.